Hello, welcome and welcome back to my channel. In this video, I will be sharing a secret. And this secret will reduce your sewing time with at least 30 minutes. It might even be more. Is this how you mark your seam line before sewing, or do you just eyeball it? Then you are probably wasting time. This video, I will show you how to use this sewing machine plate to accurately sew on your seam line. And if you are about getting your feet right the first time, you should watch this video to the end. And you should like this video already. These are the two types of sewing machine plate that comes with industrial sewing machine. And I will be showing you how to use these two to get your seam line right. If your sewing machine plate is plain, or you use a manual sewing machine or tabletop sewing machine, watch this video to the end because I will be sharing for free how to get graded sewing machine plates like this. So without wasting much time, let's get into it. If your sewing machine plate has whole numbers like this, 1, 2, 3 on it, it means your plate is graded in centimeters. Centimeter measurements are usually used by seamstresses in the United States, Canada, and other Western countries. However, if your plate has fractions like this, it means it's graded in fractions of inches, like quarter, that's 1/4, half, 1/2, 3/4, that's 3/4, and then 1. So for us to be able to see how this thing works, I would like to remove the footer. Now, let's see how to get our seam line right using this method. The needle point will be our reference point. This is where our seam line is, and there is a tiny hole there just at that needle point. Any distance to the right of this hole of our needle point will be our seam allowance. So let's assume that our seam allowance is 1 centimeter. The excess of your fabric, that is your sewing allowance, should stop right on the line after 1. And that's how you get it right. You'll be sure that your sewing allowance is just 1. If the same allowance is 2, the excess should stop on the line right after 2. And the same goes for your 3 centimeters, sewing allowance. Don't forget, the sewing machine plates with whole numbers are in centimeters. Now let's see how we can use the same technique for sewing machine plates graded in inches. From the same needle point, sewing allowance is to the right of the needle point. The difference here, however, is that your sewing allowance stops on the line before the graded fraction, not after the graded fraction as it was in the case of centimeters. For instance, if you are working with a 1/4 inch sewing allowance, your excess fabric should stop on the line just before the 1/4 point, not after. The same thing goes for half, 3/4, and 1 inch. Sewing allowances stops on the line just before it. As you can see in this one, the 1 inch sewing allowance stops on the line before 1 inch so that you can see the 1 after placing your fabric. We will demonstrate this with a fabric. The beautiful thing with plates graded in inches is that it allows you to have sewing allowance up to 1.25 inches. That's 1.25. And that will be the last line you are seeing on that sewing machine plate. Now let's return our sewing machine footer and demonstrate how to use this technique on fabric. I will be using the centimeter graded plates, but the same thing applies for the inches plate. As you can see, I've changed the plate to centimeters and I have my fabric there. Do you notice that the edge of the fabric, that's the excess, the sewing allowance, is sitting right on the line after 1? That shows that I'm using a 1 centimeter sewing allowance. Make sure that you keep your fabric steady on that line after one. If you are using centimeter, if you are also using inches, you keep your fabric steady on that line before whatever sewing allowance you are using. I will run another stitch for 2 centimeters so that we can really understand it. Black sewing machine plates usually come plain, but you can get a graded one on the Temu website. I already did that search for you. Just check in the description box for a link to get the graded sewing machine plate for manual machine. And if you are in the US and want to get a graded plate, you can also check on Amazon. I also provided a link in the description box to make your purchase easy. You can also get graded plates for electronic tabletop machine on any brand on Amazon and Temu websites. All these links are in the description box below. Now back to our sewing project and running a second stitch with 2 centimeter sewing allowance. You can see that I'm maintaining the line on 2 centimeters. I did the same for 3 centimeters. Can you see that? So using my tape to check the sewing allowances, you can see that the first line falls on 1, the second line on 2, and the third line on 3. This just goes to show that what we did was correct. I hope this video has been of value to you. Kindly share, subscribe, and like if you like to keep getting tips like this to make your work easier. Comment yes if you like me to make a video on how to use this graded plates for tabletop sewing machine or manual machine. And until I come your way again, my name is Sarah and this is Princess Fashion.